Hello and welcome to this week's Whole Week Costa. Kev, I'm Jay. Today we're going to be talking about Ghost of Mortis, which is the third episode in a three-part arc. And we're going to be talking about the Citadel, the first part in a three-part arc. So, Kev, you want to start us off with Ghost of Mars?
Ghost of Mortis. The Jedi remain stranded on Mortis, and the Sun, aligned with the dark side of the Force, renews his efforts to convert Anakin as the Jedi prepare for a decisive confrontation. Anakin is stunned by images of his dark future. The Sun promises him the power to avert this destiny. The Father recognizes that the Son has broken the rules of time. He wipes Anakin's memory of these future visions and steals the Mortis Dagger to end the conflict. The Father impales himself, thus preventing the Son from stealing his power. The Son, stunned by this, is run through by Anakin. With all three Force wielders destroyed, the imbalance in the Force disappears on Mortis. The three Jedi are transplanted back to the galaxy proper, apparently at the moment they disappeared. So if you did not listen to the last episode and watch the first two episodes in this arc, you'll have no idea what that was about.
So the episode starts with also I said Ghost of Mars, which is a John Carpenter film, not the title of this episode.
Yeah. Well, the Whole Week House and Movie Edition next week.
Yeah. So Ahsoka. So the episode starts with Ahsoka fixing the ship, and basically Obi-Wan and Anakin just chilling, just like, all right, Ahsoka, sorry, I can't get her name right. They're like, what's wrong with the ship? And she's like, oh, all this thing's wrong. And they're like, all right, keep fixing it. And like I'm pretty sure they could have just had beers at that point.
Well, I mean, Obi-Wan made her some tea at some point, so I mean, he was doing something.
Yeah, but they're like, okay, just keep fixing it. And then Anakin takes off, and then to go talk to the Father, and then Qui-gon Jinn shows back up.
Yeah, which, I mean, Qui-Gon and Anakin wouldn't really have had that much of a relationship, right?
Well, I mean, they had a couple days on Tatooine.
Yeah, so, I mean, it made a lot of sense, Qui-Gon talking to Obi-Wan in, I think, the first episode in this arc, but, I guess Anakin would know who he was, but it was a little less impactful than when he talked to Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he definitely saved him off Tatooine, and then they went to Naboo, and they had like a couple adventures, maybe a couple weeks or something like that. Yeah, I mean, they spent some time together. They met on Tatooine. They went to Naboo. They went to Coruscant. So probably a few weeks or months or something like that. The beginning of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know. This episode had a lot of interesting things. I mean, I feel like the vision is probably the main thing to talk about, right? That he basically shows the Son basically shows Anakin all of the original trilogy movies, like, real fast.
So when the Son shows Anakin all the bad he's going to do, and they use the actual like dialogue from the movies, not the voice actors. And I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. How's he ever gonna forget this? Because they don't ever bring it up again. And then the Father comes down and he's like, what did he show you? He's like, oh, I'll make you forget. And you're like, oh wow, barely an inconvenience.
Yeah. Thank God, because that would have been really hard to explain later.
Yeah.
I thought the music was really good here again, because it would have been really easy and cheap just to do like a whole Empire theme as they were doing the visions, but they do literally like a few bars of the Empire theme at the very, very end of the vision, and that's it. So I thought that was well done. And then, I mean, the other thing, because a lot of stuff happens during the episode that just kind of like gets us to where we need to go. It's not, I don't think that important in the overall story, but I mean, what do you think about the fact that, I mean, in the first couple episodes, it's like, well, Anakin's the chosen one. So then it's like, okay, well, so that actually means something. It's not just some like thing that people say. Like, it's not like this nebulous like Azor Ahai, and then like, friggin' Arya for some reason kills the Night King. Like it's not like that. Like, this is a real thing, the chosen one.
Yeah,
And
he's like the actual chosen one, and when the planet that is basically the living force, he shows up on that. They're like, you arrived, and you got to take my power because the force has said it. And then the kind of we see in the finale of this episode that Anakin kind of just screws it all up. He's like, okay, there's balance because everyone's dead.
well, that's exactly where I was going to go with it. So like before, like we're like, oh, well, he's rejecting the chosen one thing. So now that is just an empty title. But then he actually ends up bringing balance to this planet, which then they say if he continues on his current path, will bring balance to the entire universe. But he does that by killing everyone. So what does that mean for bringing balance later on? Like he just has to kill the whole galaxy as balance. Like by the amount of people he killed as Darth Vader, was he on the path to bring balance to the galaxy?
I don't know. Like it's sort of like if your wife brought a cheesesteak home for your two kids to share, and both wanted the whole cheesesteak. So you came in and you just threw the cheesesteak away, and you're like, well, now you guys don't have to share. Like it didn't really solve any of the problems. Everyone's still hungry and they still don't want to share. So you didn't solve any problems. You just made the problems you kind of just pushed
Just
the
made the problems
away.
disappear. You just recycled the problems.
Yes. No, not like made it disappear. You kind of just like pushed out the inevitable. Like they're going to argue again. You made things worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what that means to the overall story. That this was considered a good job that he murdered everyone on this planet.
Yeah.
Also, so another interesting thing was, so the father becomes a Force ghost, the two kids don't. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess he was all powerful. But I mean, if you go back to the first episode, you go, all right, Anakin, you're now and Anakin takes up his chosen one. He kind of keeps his title as chosen one. So now he has his chosen one title, and he does that, and he doesn't end up doing like the Darth Vader stuff and the Sidious stuff and all this other stuff that the son has shown him. So if he had just taken his chosen one title and he controlled the two kids, that's a different future. So, what would that mean if he did his chosen one? The Clone Wars would still go on.
Yeah, I wonder too. I mean, what does it mean? Like, if he had let Anakin keep his visions, obviously he was disturbed by them. So, could it have been better to convince him that okay, this is one possible future, but like like the father still started to try to do that, like. He doesn't need the son to change that future. If he could have kept him with those memories, so he knew not to do them, because obviously he was very disturbed by them. Would that have been the better outcome than wiping away his memory?
Well, there was a movie, and I can't think of the title. I probably will, like after we're done recording. It's about a guy who sees the future. It's either like a movie or a episode of something. He sees the future and everything, so he's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do all this stuff to avoid that future. So everything he did led up to that future. Like he tried to avoid the things he did, but it didn't matter what he did. Like his wife or daughter still died or whatever doing something else.
Well, it's clear. I mean, that's like Oedipus, right? Like that's like a super old storyline that you can't you can't change your fate or whatever. So yeah. This is I guess a pretty old storyline. Like, and I mean that's kind of what Star Wars is, right? I mean it's the hero's journey. It's just all these sort of really standard storytelling tropes all put together.
Yeah, they're space samurai.
Yeah. In the beginning of this episode too, I mean they kind of hint at that too, because the father is very sort of like Anakin-like in that he tried to do all this stuff to prevent his kids from dying essentially, and that led to his daughter dying. So it's similar like Anakin and Padme.
Yeah. Well, it also led to his son dying too. He just wanted to control his kids. He couldn't control his kids, and then they die. Anyway.
Yeah. Want to move on to the Citadel?
Yeah, let's move on to the Citadel, which is the first time we meet a very important character in the Star Wars universe, and is the first episode of a 3-part arc. Kev, you want to talk about the Citadel?
With the help from R2-D2 and a squad of captured battle droids, an elite team of Jedi and clone troopers led by Obi-Wan and Anakin attempt to free a captive Jedi General Evan Peel from an impenetrable prison. Despite orders to the contrary, Ahsoka Tano tags along, though she proves indispensable when the infiltration mission begins to evolve. Peel and his fleet officer, Captain Tarkin, are liberated from their cells, but now the fugitives must escape the Citadel itself.
How funny is the beginning of this episode when R2-D2 shows up with 3 reprogrammed battle droids, and he's like, "These are my battle droids," and they're like, "That's right, Commander."
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like, we keep talking about droid rights and you know, those astromechs having their memories erased after like each mission to like keep them clean and everything, and this just shows that like R2-D2 like just keeps gaining memories, and now he's the commander of his own little like droid platoon.
Yeah, I hope this comes up again at some point in the future. Also, I hope that he has some sort of military title now as well.
Like he becomes a general and he has like his own like 40,000 squad.
Yeah,
40,000 like droid squad.
That'd be awesome. My first impression was when they showed us Evan Peel, and I laughed out loud. I was like, you freaking kidding me? Got this leprechaun Jedi?
Yeah, with the scar eye.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's a wide variety of different types of Jedi characters, but this guy was too far.
Yeah, yeah. So if we go back before we even meet Evan Peel, we see Please say her name right so I can get it right.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. Yeah. So we see Ahsoka. She's like, "I want to go on this," and then like, Plo Koon is like, "No, your master doesn't want you to." So she sneaks aboard anyway, and then the plot calls for a small like air duct, and she's like, "I'm perfect," and I'm like, "Good thing she snuck aboard." Like, what would they have done if she didn't? Like, if she didn't sneak aboard, they'd be like, "Oh no, I guess even Peel's dead."
They probably would have had to stand there, I guess, until the droids came on patrol again. But I mean, that guy definitely would have lost his eye in the process because he almost lost it this way.
Yeah. So I mean,
I just feel like so yeah. I want to see what all the stuff is they're talking about. I don't know if they're going to expand on it because they talked about the Citadel, and then they talked about this like deep space route or something that they were getting information for, and it just made me really think like Warhammer 40k. The Blackstone fortresses like in the void, and then there's this webway in like Warhammer 40k where it's like an ancient like outside of reality route to like travel faster than light, and that's just what this whole thing made me think of when they were talking about it.
Yeah, it is very reminiscent of that like secret 40k route, but then when we meet Peel, the guy you laughed out loud about, which is rude. I mean, not everyone can have a big stature like you.
All the Irish people are gonna be mad now in the comments.
Yeah,
because of the leprechaun joke.
I mean, you're only like 6 inches taller than Peel, so
yeah, probably.
But yeah, we see this like he turned out to be like this. He kind of like angry like a leprechaun too. Like he's just angry about everything. But we see him like be this real badass, like almost like Yoda in the first episode, like jumping and flying and cutting things in half. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, he thought they stole his lucky charm, so he was all over it.
And the fact that like he was smart enough to be like, "Oh, I made my captain remember half the route, and then I remembered half the route, and then they're gonna torture me like so the information's useless." And I just thought to myself, well, they have half the route, so they could probably like you could put the breadcrumbs together and find the rest of the route.
I mean, imagine if you were like say like a clone soldier on like that served under like Anakin and Obi-Wan, like they're like they're like doing crazy stuff and they're cracking jokes, and then you get transferred to friggin' Peel and Tarkin's ship, and like this just got to be the most miserable ship, because like Peel looks kind of like he's a little grumpy leprechaun, and then you got Tarkin, like just looks like a jerk and sounds like a jerk and talks like a jerk. Like I don't know, it just must be miserable on their ship.
Arkin definitely has like a chip on his shoulder. Like, I'm better than all these people. Like, he definitely thinks he's better than all the clones, and he definitely like he sounds like, even though I kind of read his backstory, he wasn't like, he does sound like that, like Count Dooku, the way he speaks.
Yeah, they're all Karen.
Yeah. So without going any further, so they have this like whole like Scooby Doo like hide from the bad guys throughout the Citadel, which was a prison built by the Jedis to hold the Jedi, and I guess the Separatists took over to hold Jedi. So like Scooby-Doo.
That's what I got from it.
Yeah, we get this like whole Scooby-Doo like maze chase around, and then the group splits up. Even though Tarkin's like, "Yeah, we shouldn't split up," and then
yeah, I don't know. I get the rationale for the splitting up, but like, I don't think it was crazy not to split up, because I mean they're pretty powerful with the whole group together.
I mean, three Jedi are just basically, we've learned three like master Jedi. Well, they have four, so it's three master Jedi and a Padawan. If they stick together, like, they're basically invincible. Like, they could take down like 1,000 troops, robot troops.
Yeah, apparently one continuity thing that was from the wiki was that this carbonite trick was used before, but in this episode they say it was the first time it was used. But then, fortunately, Disney and their infinite wisdom, shuffled a bunch of things into legends. So the time it was previously used is no longer canon. So this is now an accurate episode.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, that's all I really have on this episode without going further into the next episode.
Yeah, I think we have a lot more to talk about. The only other thing I would say is this was kind of a refreshing, like, after all the weirdness of the last three episodes, which they were really interesting. Although honestly, I mean, the last arc, the Mortis arc, got sort of less interesting as it went along. I thought, because like there was so much mystery in the beginning. And then once it started to unravel, then it was just like, well, how's this going to end? What's going to happen? It's like what that third episode was. Yeah. But yeah, this is kind of a relief to get back to the normal, like, normal Jedi stuff, just breaking people out of prisons, like fighting droids, this felt a lot better than the third episode of the previous arc.
Yeah, well, I think the previous arc, and I think it would have been a little bit better, and something would be like, the father would say something like, "I'll leave now because this planet is now his prison if you leave," something like that, instead of like how it drug out like it did.
Yeah. The last one was like like that should have been a two-parter, I think.
So, well, I mean, this is the first part of this Tarkin rescue plan. So that's all I have to say about that one.
Me too. Except for this one won't drag, so watch next week. The other ones will be even better.
Yeah, they get better. But thanks for listening to this week's Whole Week Costa. You can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, our Libsyn page, and a couple other things. Check us out. Plus 100 other episodes, over 100, talking about movies and random stuff and everything. So for Kev, I'm Jay. Have a good weekend.